I really love Carrie Fisher, and I love her voice. That's both her actual voice and the voice that she delivers through her writing. Shockaholic is the latest of her books that I've finished, and it's pretty great. And what I love most about this is the fact that it's very honest. She really bears her soul in this, but does it with quite a decent sprinkling of humour. The book itself was actually published in 2011, so 5 years before we had to say goodbye to her. And I have to say, part of me is kind of glad that I wasn't in love with her before 2016, as it would have just made it all the more difficult and emotional to kind of find out that news of her passing. But her spirit and soul live on in her writing, and that's definitely true with Shockaholic, because it's very, very open and honest. It's not the longest book. It is, for the copy in front of me, about 160 pages, and she goes through a handful of different topics, all of which are pretty quite honest and not what I was expecting. So in this, she discusses electrocurrent therapy, her experience with it, and the fact that her memory is not great. And it's pretty, I read that chapter and I thought, I really want to try that. Her memory is not great as a result of that, but she's trying it to help with, mood stabilizing. As somebody who has clinical depression and has done for a very long time, I kind of thought, oh, maybe if it did help Carrie, maybe I should try it. But no, she kind of scared me out of it by detailing the fact that it just keeps pinging memories out of her mind. And then she moves on to her weight, and certainly her weight within, the realm of being constantly in the public attention. And then she progresses to discussing a particular event with Senators Dodd and Kennedy, which is very interesting. Me being British, I probably didn't get as much out of that chapter as I could have done. Mainly, I don't fully know what a senator does. And then there's quite a lot of this dedicated, written about Michael Jackson. Now, I am completely indifferent about Michael Jackson. I've never cared about it. I mean, I love certain Jackson 5 songs, but I've never been concerned with Michael Jackson's music. At the same time, I don't completely hate him. I'm pretty indifferent. But she does talk quite a lot about the times she spent at his house, particularly with her daughter. She obviously touches on the claims that he likes little children a bit too much, but she says so in a way that's kind of dismissive of that. And she doesn't dismiss it outright and declare that he's completely innocent, but she says that it's probably just the fact that Michael Jackson never really had a childhood, so he never really wanted to grow up, and he's still very much a child, or was a child in an adult's body, and that's why he spent a lot of time around children. Who knows? But it's interesting to get her thoughts on it, but I think it dedicated a bit too much time to Michael Jackson for my liking. And then we get to the bit that I found particularly interesting. She talks about her childhood, one of her stepfathers, and then becoming reacquainted with her actual father, Eddie Fisher, and the role that Elizabeth Taylor played, not just at the time, but in later years. And that's, I think, when she kind of opens up the most, because she talks a lot more about the emotional journey she had with reconnecting with her father, what it was like towards the end of his life. And there are some brilliant pictures in this, and there are a lot of pictures. Some of them have absolutely mental captions that have nothing to do with the picture, which is of course the intention. But there are quite a few magazine covers from the time of Debbie Reynolds, her mother of course, and Eddie Fisher, or Debbie Reynolds with Carrie and Todd Fisher, her brother. And it's really weird. Some of them are quite bizarre, but it's great to see these adorable little pictures of tiny toddler Carrie. She was very cute with her little chubby cheeks and her prominent nose and chin. She never really changed, she's still got the same kind of facial expressions in these pictures. It's just absolutely lovely to see. It is a slightly triggering book if you suffer from any of the issues in this. Despite the fact that it's called Shockaholic, she doesn't actually talk about drug use too much, which is something we could perhaps have expected from Carrie. It is, of course, touched upon because it's Carrie Fisher. But it's not done so extensively. I wouldn't say it's particularly shocking as a book, but maybe the Shockaholic comes more from the electrocurrent therapy, and maybe she was writing this as a way to remember these memories once the ECT pings them out of her brain even further. The front cover as well, I absolutely love. It does have a picture of an action figure of Princess Leia with her hand over her eyes. I'm sure you can see this on screen now. And yeah, I like that. I really like that cover. There's also a really lovely picture of the author on the dust jacket. It's a beautiful image. This is a really great book. It's very well published. I didn't spot a single typing error, which you may expect from a professional publishing house like Simon & Schuster, but actually there are many professionally published books that are just riddled with mistakes and typing errors and formatting errors, and this is definitely not the case. From start to finish, it was just utterly pleasing, and it's definitely in the tone of Carrie Fisher. You can hear her saying this. I don't know if there's an audiobook of this. There's definitely an audiobook of Wishful Drinking. I don't know if there's one of Shockaholic. If there is, that'd be pretty interesting to listen to. She's incredible. Her writing is beautiful. It's very emotional. And I think it's something that if you like Carrie Fisher, you need to read. It's just digging another layer into her. And she opens up a bit more. And she's just fantastic. And the book is completely representative of that.